Karnataka seeing Steve jump in Arms Act cases, and we have D.K. Shivakumar's picture there because he says we should look at a law which shall bring to curb such incidents. In Karnataka, cases registered under the Arms Act 1959 have seen a sharp spike, and the spike has been 46% in a year. Now, according to official data, the state recorded 280 cases in 2024, and it rose to 409 in 2025. In 2023, if you compare, it was just 294. So look at it, the trajectory from 294 to 404. The recent incidents, of course, highlight the rising concern. You've seen Ballari, where one person was killed during a clash. And also in Bengaluru, there was a case where a husband took out his pistol and then shot his wife and surrendered to the police. Several people say that the rise is attributed to several other reasons, but the point is that this is could be very, very dangerous. What are the reasons for it? That is what there has to be a cleanup drive also to see that, this is not misused so badly. The statistics, of course, say that it's also because, we're keeping a very close eye on how many pistols are being garnered by the people. But the point of the matter is that it is dangerous because it also gives rise to a lot of crime, as it were. Let me now go across to the guest who's joining us, Sanjay Sahai, former ADGP from Karnataka. Mr. Sahai, thank you very much. A happy new year to you, sir. Hope you.
Happy New Year to you too.
Thank you, sir. They are saying, according to the top cop, I don't want to name him, but then, he says it's because we are very vigilant. That's why there is a rise. I mean, if we did not report it, how would you know? Do you agree with that? I somehow don't.
So, which primarily means that they were not vigilant earlier. So anyway, I'll not go with that argument, and I'll rather subscribe to your line of thought, not subscribing to my earlier author related thought. So primarily what is happening today that there is a general increase in number of arms act cases. Now there are two things. So Arms Act is the final section which you use in any of these cases. What is important is the number of legal weapons and illegal weapons in Karnataka. The number of illegal weapons will decide on the nature of enforcement and monitoring which is happening. Now, in the same report which we are quoting, that the Deccan Herald report, a ballistic expert says that 80-90% of the cases, the weapons used are illegal, illicit, smuggled from outside. Now, that is a very, very serious issue. So, we will just flag in main issues. So, one issue is that. And the second is that most of this comes out in the open in these political rallies and all that. This political rally, you have police guys and you also have the private gunmen. Nobody knows as to what role the private gunman has to play and in which manner. And there has been firing, say, from police weapon also and a private weapon also. And we are struggling our level best today to finally fix as to who the gunman is. There is also a very fancy sort of a thing where people go into private gunmen. There is a committee which takes care of the threat perception. So the threat person of these guys, I think they're deciding themselves and they're getting the number of gunmen. So there are private gunmen and gunmen provided by the police, which are, I think, running in a mixed manner, which is, I think it is really dangerous. There are a variety of other things we can get into those with regards to earlier weapons coming from the Andhra Pradesh border. And now there is an understanding it is coming way off from UP, MP, BR. And there are ways and means it is being smuggled. How strong and whether there is a focus on weapons on a regular basis on our borders is the biggest issue.
Sir, I wanted to ask you. Yeah, sir, sorry to interject, but sir, I wanted to ask you.
If there is a regular check, let's know the modalities of check, how it is happening, and what has been recovered so far in these checks.
Great.
Plus, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I wanted to ask you, you say private gunmen. These private gunmen, obviously have licenses which have been approved. But how do you ascertain for what reason? Because in the north, you see people shooting off during weddings as well, and there have been lots of deaths. So how does one curtail that, Mr. Sahai?
I don't know the mechanism by which these private gunmen are hired. Suffice to say that they have licenses and they have licensed weapons also.
Okay, sir.
I'm not sure of the fact those ex-servicemen, a large part of them are ex-servicemen also. That is what I have been made to believe. Whether they have been trained into personal security mechanisms, which is basically for which they are being used for. Secondly, whether they can open fire, not open fire, but for the self-defense. What they understand of self-defense, I'm not aware of that fact. Third is if there is a threat perception to a MLA or a public servant, whosoever the person might be. So that threat perception should lead to providing a gunman from the government itself. So it is a completely unregulated sort of an area. And politicians and a large number of people who deal in land in variety of ways, they feel that they need their personal security, and that is how things have been happening. We have seen a similar thing, not related to weapon, but the private bouncers. We have seen, I think, both in Tamil Nadu and sometime in Andhra Pradesh also.
Right.
So there is a very deep feeling that they should guard themselves, even if they are related or indirectly related to the government, which is, I think, a very wrong trend and a very
Right.
wrong thought process.
Mr. Sahai, let's take this hypothetical. This man, husband, who whipped out the pistol and, shot his wife, maybe in a fit of anger, don't want to go. He had obviously must have had a license or did not have a license. I have a question to ask you, because when you look at North, everyone has a katta. You know that, what a katta must be. So when we are saying that you're getting a lot of weapons, so it looks like perhaps that it goes unchecked, because there are lots of evidences of people having pistols for which they don't even have licenses. How do you go about checking this, sir?
See, the main issue is whether whether the arms are licensed or not licensed. Then you're talking about katta. Katta has been prevailing since times immemorial. Now, the way of checking primarily starts with the place where the production happens. And most of these places where the production happens, I think there is some whiff in the air, and it is literally known in the underground circles or whatever you call it in those particular areas. So from the production stage itself, then it moves to where there is a clear-cut flow. So the routes are barely known or sometimes unknown. But once you get into a crime where you have caught hold of an illicit weapon, katta, unlicensed firearm, whatever you call it, then there is that route has to be taken back. The same Deccan Herald, because I am not privy to any information on the government side, also says that there have been instances where the Karnataka police have gone into those North Indian, basically where this trade is happening, and they have mostly come back empty-handed. So there is an understanding by which weapons are coming, primarily because of indifference. That is what I personally believe. And until there is a very stringent action. There's an old case in Kodugu, I think in our ASP days, when they used that exceptional clause or section where the traditional weapons can be kept unlicensed
Displayed.
in Kodugu. And hundreds of weapons, if I remember correctly, it was a guy called Chaticha or something of that name, and there was an inspector of mine. We charged him also in that, and might be there are hundreds of weapons. So there are standardized rules and there are standardized methods. Now these gun licenses which these guys have.
Yes, sir.
So presumably, if I go by the public domain reports, the licenses they are getting from Jammu and Kashmir. And that license is becoming because it is an all India license, it is being used here.
On that note, thank you very much, Mr. Sanjay Sahai, for explaining this so wonderfully. Thank you indeed about the threat of gun licenses in Karnataka.